Okay, today we're going to dive into relationships, both unholy and holy. So the first couple of segments I'm going to do are called You and Your Bother. And I'll tell you the story about where that came from. A Course in Miracles grew out of a very conflicted relationship between Helen Schuckman and her department head at Columbia Medical School, Bill Thetford, in the psychology department. And they had a love-hate relationship. Apparently they would just argue all day long, and then at night they'd call each other up and argue some more. So Helen received this silent dictation, and whatever she was doing during the day, she could just start and stop anywhere, would just write down in shorthand what she heard. And then Bill would come in early in the morning and he'd take her shorthand and he could read it and he would type it up. So there are many, many places, probably hundreds of places in the Course where it has the phrase you and your brother. And he would often have a typo and call it you and your bother. So I started thinking about this and thinking, we're always saying there's just one dreamer and there's just one of us. But how do we get all these other people? Where do they come from? So I thought we would look at that to see what's happening between the relationships between the seemingly separate people down here in the world, and how are we going to get back to the oneness in the right mind. So we have our three levels of mind. This is the only one that's reality, is up here. Everything below is a dream. There's the mind level, which is really where we all are, and we're all inside the dreamer here, having a dream, just like in your head. When you sleep at night, there's dreams going on. It could be many, many people, but it's all taking place in your head, seemingly. But then we're going to be projecting our ideas out, wrong-minded or right-minded ideas, project them out, and we'll form bodies who seem to be operating in time and space and seem to be very real. And then this line across the middle is veil of amnesia, because we don't want to remember what's sitting up here, the sin. So ego just tells us to forget that it ever happened, and now we're just people born into the world in the usual way. So I thought this is going to be kind of a close-up of what's going on here. I am shamelessly borrowing from one of Kenneth Wapnick's wonderful teachings. He did a great workshop called The Four Splits, in which he goes into all the different ways that we split. The first split would be splitting off from here to here. The second split is when the dreamer has the two parts of the mind. The third split is what we're going to go into today. And that's what's happening here in the wrong mind that results in the bodies coming down here in the world. So this is the third split. The fourth split would be coming into the world, being projecting out a world. Okay, so there's two stories going on up here. And the ego story is separation happened. We left perfect oneness, and by leaving it, we destroyed it, because now there's perfect oneness, and then there's me. And so along with, if you accept this story, if you accept separation happened, then there's going to be huge guilt and pain over that, and huge fear that you're going to be found out and punished, because guilt always calls for punishment. Okay, so sin, I always say, is an acronym that stands for separation is necessary. And it's necessary because if I'm going to exist as a separate being with a separate will and a private mind, I have to have the story of separation first. Because otherwise, there's no separate beings up here. There's no multiplicity up here, no diversity up here that we can understand. So if I choose to believe here, now this is the split. This is the third split here that's going to go on. So the guilt and the fear and the pain of believing in the separation is so horrendous, I can't stand it. And I turn to my only advisor now, because I've forgotten there's another advisor. My only advisor is my ego, part of my mind that wants to be separate. And it says, okay, I have a solution for you. You divide yourself. This is that fourth, this is going to be the fourth split, actually. You're going to divide yourself. You're going to take the fear, and you're going to go into the world, and you're going to be a victim. In some way or another, you're going to build yourself a nice little victim story. You're going to be a face of innocence. And then the other part that you've split off is going to take the guilt. So you get to be the innocent one, and all others are the guilty ones that are causing you pain. And there'll be the perception of differences is going to keep that going. The first difference was, I'm not part of God anymore. I'm different. I'm me. I'm separate. And then the next difference when we project these out is, I'm innocent and you're guilty. And each one of us, our mind is so powerful, even when we give the mind to the ego, it's the same power of the mind, we become like a master ventriloquist. And as a master ventriloquist, we're going to cast our mental voice into all of these forms down here, and each one says, I am. And we look out and we say, you, but I am always the center. So every I has some kind of a victim story where there's not enough attention, not enough money, not enough peace, not enough water to drink, not enough food to eat, not enough fulfilling work, not enough of something. Maybe the environment is the place where we're victimized by a very arid environment or a flooded environment, or the victim of storms, or the victim of abusive parents, or neglectful parents, or no parents. So there's always some kind of a victim story here. And because of the veil of amnesia, here we are. This is the world. This is reality. All the different ways. If you look back on your life, you will see there are certain people who abused you, let you down, disappointed you, made you angry, hurt your feelings. And maybe you'll see some people that you did that to also. But it's never as bad as what they did to you. That's okay. So remember, there's these two stories. So now these people, innocent me and guilty you, are going to be making up stories. And each one has this sense of sin pressing in. We don't know where it's coming from. That feeling of apprehension. Things are not quite right, or maybe things are okay, but I kind of have a little worry that things are not going to be okay in the future. Some people turn into control freaks because of that, and they want to control everything and plan everything and try and really manage all the little things going on in their life and all the people. Try to be very controlling. And so when I have my face of innocence going on and I don't remember this, and this is pure self-hatred. We hate what we've done because we think that we are sinners. We are sin. The fact that I exist separately is a sin. And so that hatred is always threatening to break through. So I spend my life as a body looking around saying, what's wrong with this picture? And or what's going to be wrong with this picture? Or I look back in my past and I say, what was wrong with my childhood? What was wrong with that last job I had? What was wrong with that last relationship? And we're always looking for what's wrong. So lesson 71 in the workbook talks about the ego's plan for salvation, which is holding grievances. And that plan says, what other than me needs to change? If this were different, this person were different, this circumstance were different, I would be saved. So I'm looking around always. I have to do that because if I can't find the guilt external to me, then it's going to come back on me. And I don't want to see it in myself. Now, one of our own victimizers is our own body. A body lets us down all the time. It has all these things wrong with it. But of course, you can blame your genetic predisposition to this, that, or the other thing, disease. You can blame a microbe. You can blame other people who infected you with something. You can blame the doctor who didn't give you the right medicine, or gave you a medicine that you had a reaction to, or if you're overeating, you can blame the society and the way the advertisers just blast you with all these ads and beautiful images of food, and maybe your parents made you overeat, and you have all these reasons why you're innocent and you're being affected by all these forces in the world and these images in the world. So the reason that we have to have all of these people, families first and foremost especially, is there's got to be somebody that I project onto. So lesson 161, it says, hate is specific. There must be a thing to be attacked. An enemy must be perceived in such a form he can be touched and seen and heard and ultimately killed. So I gotta have a mother and father to blame. I gotta have other people's siblings to blame. I gotta have those kids who bullied me in school or those lousy teachers to blame. So we're always looking around to find where to extend the blame. So another way to look at the world is as a masquerade ball. So who issues the invitation? We do. One Dreamer, we invited all these other people into our lives to play a role. You'll be my mother, you'll be my father. This will be where I will be born. And that is a far cry from thinking, oh, I couldn't help where I was born. And the cry of the teenager, I didn't ask to be born. Yes, you did. Sorry, but you did.
I didn't ask for these parents.
Choosing this, to believe in this, you asked to be born as a body, as a separate body. And you invited all the people in your life into it. So just as in a dream at night, people do not sneak into your dreams at night. People do not sneak into your dreams in the daytime. Everybody who shows up on the screen of your world at any time, you put there. Now, in the first unholy instant, the ego put them there so you could blame them and find fault with them and be angry with them and be disappointed in them. And in that same instant, you can choose a different purpose, which is over here, and you can say, I want to do this differently. That's the option. So we have to reach a certain level. We don't have to, but it's just the way that we work because we're very stubborn. This has a big payoff to it because this means there's a separate me who really exists, and I love my separate self. No matter how miserable it is, I love it. It's me, it's familiar, it's yummy, I get to have my private thoughts, I get to judge and complain and find fault and tell you all about the terrible things that have happened to me and make you feel sorry for me so you'll be nice to me and give me some of the things I feel that I'm missing. So, the job always is to, as we go, and it's a process, a long process in most cases, is to go from this identification of I am a body back here to I am a dreamer. I am a dreamer with a choice of dreams. That's what the miracle does. Shows us that we have a choice of dreams while we're dreaming. The miracle is like an elevator. It takes us up off the battleground of the world back to where we can observe. And the Holy Spirit, that presence in our mind that's gently helping to wake us up, will show us, if we ask, what we've been doing. That takes a great deal of self-honesty, and I would say even courage. It's not easy to look at the crap that we've been pulling on everybody in our lives. When you begin to realize that every single upset in your life is a setup. You set somebody up to fail you. You set somebody up to let you down. You set somebody up to abuse you, to cheat on you, to lie to you. And you begin to catch, as you start looking, you'll begin to catch the part of your mind that loves it when somebody does something mean to you. Yes. I can feel sorry for myself. I can get everybody to agree with me that what they did was absolutely unforgivable. And I'll get a good story out of it, and I can go around and tell my story at my masquerade ball. So, where we want to get to through all of our looking and observing what we've been doing is we want to get over here to where, to the peace. So these forms, they still seem to be bodies, we still seem to be people, but it's coming from a place of peace. Why are we peaceful? We're peaceful because we have accepted that nothing happened. That is the atonement. Nothing happened. This is where I'm a lucid dreamer. The Course says you would not react at all to figures in a dream that you knew that you were dreaming. You would not react at all. Well, if we do react, it's because I've forgotten that I'm dreaming and I go back over here. This is my programming. This is my default setting over here, is to behave like this, to look out externally and find who's to blame. And it takes a lot of work to undo that, a lot of observing, a lot of self-honesty, a lot of realizing how much I like to be different, and I like my defenses of making other people different from me, less than me, guiltier than me. That's just going to be a long process. But what we find as we progress is that you spend more time over here in this alignment than you do over here. And you start to feel, hey, this feels a whole lot better. It feels a whole lot better when I see that everybody is the same. They're totally different in form, obviously, from you, but they're the same because they have this mind and they have this mind and they have a choice. They're part of the same dreamer that you are. They have the same freedom to choose because it's all of us doing this same dance. It's like a holographic universe here going on, but it's all the same dreamer, packaged differently, but doing the same thing. So when I look at differences over here, we're always building hierarchies. This one's better than this one. We're always figuring out, where am I on the hierarchy? How far up am I? How evolved am I? How enlightened am I? Etc. So here, Jesus in the Course talks about perfect equality. He says he's no different from us. He's just the same as us, and he respects all of us as the same because he knows that we are all part of this. So he's just a symbol of the part of the mind that has chosen to accept nothing happened. And so he's completely at peace. And we begin to view other people instead of, I'm the innocent one and you're the guilty one. It's, we are the same. So sameness becomes our goal. We can't leap back into oneness. I mean, we've never left the oneness, but we can't leap back into it. And we see that everybody is a companion on the journey. It could be somebody, a server at a restaurant, a clerk in a store, or it could be somebody you've known your whole life, or somebody who's even passed on and you're just remembering them. We're all companions on the journey home. And, one of the ancient Greeks was supposed to have said, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle." And that's a great motto to carry with you as you go through your daily life and encounter people physically, or encounter people in your thoughts and in your mind. Especially when
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
This is where we're making it about them.
Yeah. So make it about them was one of Kenneth Wapnick's last major teachings before he passed. And he says that if you will make it about them, if you're sick and you go to the hospital, you make it about the nurse, you make it about the doctor, you make it about the people who come to see you, you make it about everybody. You get out of this self-centeredness of, oh, poor me, I'm, this body, and you just think about the well-being of the other. All the people around you are going through the same battle that you are. There's no difference. So I had a friend years ago who came to see me. She was a course student, and she was afflicted with tremendous fear, especially if she came to attend a workshop that Kenneth Wapnick was doing. All this huge fear would come up, and nightmares. She would have nightmares. And she had a recurring image in her nightmare of a gorilla chasing her. So she and I sat down one day and we did sort of a joined guided meditation, which we looked at the gorilla together in our minds. And as we were looking at this, and she was describing it to me, and I was seeing it in my mind, and I said, "Oh, look, there's a zipper down the front." So gradually, she got up the courage in her thoughts to go up and pull the zipper down. And out came this beautiful little child, a very frightened child, who was herself. That's all you ever meet in the world is yourself. So all of the bad guys in your life are wearing gorilla suits. And so find a zipper. That's a little motto to carry with you as you go out into the world. Find the zipper. And have the courage when you're ready to pull that zipper down, and you'll only find yourself inside. Yeah.